Caprara here with former NFL player Tyoka Jackson. Tyoka, tell me, at what age did you fall in love with football?
Like the movie Brown Sugar. Brown Sugar was, when did you fall in love with hip hop? So when did I fall in love with football? I fell in love with football at approximately 6 years old. I was watching a bowl game, a college football bowl game with my dad, and we had a bet. We bet some M&Ms that my brother was selling. You know how you sell candy for school or whatever, fundraiser. And my brother was selling M&Ms. My dad agreed to buy, because you had to give my brother $1 to get the box. So he agreed if my team won, he'd buy the box, and if his team won, well, he was buying the box either way. If his team won, he got to eat the box, and if my team won, I got to eat the box. So it was Georgia versus Penn State in the Sugar Bowl, and I thought that back then, old school, Georgia had a great running back named Herschel Walker, one of the all-time great college players of all time. So all you young folks, please Google and watch Herschel Walker. He was amazing, and I just thought no one could beat Herschel Walker. And Penn State, found a way to really shut him down and beat Georgia. And I watched my dad eat those M&Ms in front of me. And at that point, I was like, I love college football, and I want to play for Penn State, and that's kind of how it started.
What is one thing that someone has taught you or said to you that stuck with you till this day?
Ooh, are we talking on the field or off the field?
Both.
Ooh, boy, at my age, there's a lot of lessons. One that sticks out is saying, I can't hear what you're saying because your actions speak so loud. And that really, and I actually got taught that by a coach in the league. I was a grown man, so, you never stop learning. But that once I heard that quote, and it's been variations I've seen and read, but, the meaning is so profound to me. It's all about action. You can talk all you want, or people can talk about you or to you all they want, but really it's about what they do. It's about what you do that truly matters. In an age where there's a lot of posting, a lot of clicking, a lot of typing, a lot of talking.
Yeah.
It's really all about what you do. Obviously, with yourself and what you do to affect others, that really ultimately makes you the woman or man that you are.
I agree with that. I like that. Can you walk me through your experience of playing for Penn State?
Yeah, it was, I coming out of high school back in 1989. We're probably in today's lingo, as a recruited player out of high school, I may have been definitely a 3-star, maybe a 4-star guy, maybe. I don't know, probably a 3-star guy coming out of high school. My recruiting really ramped up late. And I wanted to go to Penn State. It was my dream ever since watching that Sugar Bowl back when I was a little kid. And but going to a school like that, it's always challenging because they get the best of the best. I knew I was risking going to a school and them recruiting better players than me, and me, never really playing. So it was my job to do two things: graduate and make an impact, and so that my family could see me play on television. That was my goal. So I came in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. That I was going to not go there and get swallowed up by that big universities. I came in and was sort of appreciated, undervalued, unheralded, but really worked my rear end off after my freshman year when I learned what work really was.
Yeah.
Really started to build my body and build my conditioning and my technique, and got off to a pretty good start earlier in my career. My sophomore year had 8.5 sacks, led the team in sacks, and then my junior year got hurt and only had 3 sacks. It was a down year for us as a team. We didn't play well. I think we finished 7-5, which was terrible for us, and we lost in the Blockbuster Bowl that doesn't exist anymore. That's how old that was, to Stanford.
Blockbuster.
Stanford, Colorado, right? Exactly. Blockbuster. That's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, but then came back and had a strong senior year. Finished all Big Ten in our inaugural season. My senior year was our first year in the Big Ten Conference, and to make all Big Ten, that was truly something I'm proud of. So all in all, I had a wonderful career, and the best thing I can say about Penn State is I would go back and do it all over again.
Yeah.
One of the finest universities in the world, in my opinion, and obviously we play big time college football, and the amount of our alumni base is great. We're all around the world, so I'm a big Penn State fan. Even though I actually played and went there, I'm still a huge fan.
We are.
Right. We are. You know what it is.
What was the biggest difference transitioning from college football to the NFL?
I would say the physicality of the game. The speed is there's a lot of speed in college. There's plenty of fast guys, little guys, big guys that can run. But what really struck me was the physicality. Being a defensive lineman, I came out of college at 260, which is small, and I really felt that way when I got to the league. Grown men who had been playing the game for a long time, and so the physicality of the game and the intensity of the game ratchets up big time when you go from college to pro. And I had to learn that really quick, and a lot of guys don't. And by the time they figure it out, they're out of the league. And so, that's something I had to really understand. I had to get bigger and stronger without losing my quickness and speed. So bigger and stronger the right way in the weight room. And the intensity. There's no games being played, especially in the trenches. When you watch this Super Bowl coming up, it is a war in near every single play. The quote unquote skill guys, which I hate that term because we're all skilled, but the skill guys, the smaller guys, the guys who touch the ball the most, you can go 2, 3, 4 plays without even getting touched. But if you watch the combat going on along the line of scrimmage where that football is, between the guys with their hands on the ground, it is literally a war every single play. And there's a certain mentality that you have to bring to that game if you're going to not only survive it, meaning have a nice, career of any length, but also be successful. So the physicality, intensity, that's something I had to learn to really ratchet up really quickly. And I was able to do that.
What emotions did you go through your first NFL game?
Oh man, it was amazing. I remember, I was with the Dolphins and, I hadn't even been dressing. Like I'd be, I'm one of the guys on the sidelines you see dressed in like a t-shirt, like, team issued gear, watching the game. It came to me, right before the game, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours before the game and said, hey, you're going to play this week. In 2.5 hours, I'm about to play my first game. So the first thing I did was grab my cell phone and sneak off to an area of the locker room, be alone, and call my parents and say, hey, turn on the game. Because I want to say it was it was either Monday night or Sunday night. It was a night game. I believe it was a Monday night game, but either Monday night or Sunday night. We were playing the Buffalo Bills, which is, a big rivalry for the Dolphins. And so I called my parents up and said, please watch the game. I want to play. It's the first one. And I just remember getting, I had flashbacks of, coming up to the line of scrimmage, getting ready to get down to my stance, my 3-point stance. And I'm hearing a voice that I've heard since I was little, and it was, from NFL films, watching all the highlights and stuff. And I look, and again, I know who we're playing. I've been practicing all week, but it's just this moment when I'm looking in the backfield and I see the great Jim Kelly, Hall of Fame quarterback, and I look behind him and there's the, running back, getting lined up. What's his name? Thurman Thomas, another Hall of Famer. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And I was like, this all happened, by the way, within like 2 or 3 seconds. I'm like, snap out of it. Come on, you got to play. And that was sort of my welcome to the NFL moment. And I actually ended up getting a caused fumble against Jim Kelly. That was an unbelievable experience that one night. So I'll never forget it. It's just something that meant a whole lot to me, beyond my wildest dream. I never even dreamed of playing in the NFL. My dream was to play big-time college football, graduate from college, and go on and have a life. But to exceed my dreams, well, that really meant a lot to myself and my family.
You played 12 seasons in the NFL. Can you walk me through your game day routine?
Oh man, that evolved over the years. Trust me, as I got older and wiser and stiffer, and had to learn how to really prepare. So once I really figured it out, because I had to learn how to eat properly, not just to have energy, but to not be full and a whole thing. So, it's I'll go through, because it changes depending on what time the game was, believe it or not. But so I'll go through a normal early game, and I'll pick when I played for the St. Louis Rams, I had really got into this really good routine that worked for me for the rest of my career. So in St. Louis, it was a 12 o'clock game. Most East Coast, a 1 o'clock game. So in St. Louis, it's 12 because it's central. But so I'd wake up somewhere around 8ish, and no food. I could not eat on game day when it's an early game, believe it or not. You would think that's weird. I'll do a lot of carbo loading the night before, and no food that day. And so I'd go to the locker room, and I would have this really good routine of sauna and cold tub. So back and forth sauna and cold tub, and then I would finish in the steam room. with the steam. And that would sort of warm me up, loosen me up. And man, I would feel really good. And the whole time I'm drinking Pedialyte, which is full of electrolytes. It's like one of those little secrets for, athletes that we drink.
Yeah.
The babies drink because it fills with a lot of electrolytes and fluids that really help you stay hydrated so you don't get cramped up, so you don't lose that, become dehydrated during the game, which is one of the worst things that could ever happen. So you drink a lot of Pedialyte early and then water to just keep yourself hydrated. So I would drink a nice big 32-ounce bottle of Pedialyte, and maybe even we had these.
What color? Color Gatorade.
Right. I was gonna say Gatorade, but we had these like high carbo Gatorades. They had a name for it. I can't even remember, but it was produced by Gatorade, and it was way higher carbs than that, and so it was basically more carbo loading. And so I would drink the Pedialyte, one can of the Gatorade, and then I'd be ready to roll. And so
what color?
What color? Oh, it was orange.
Orange. All right. Yeah. Okay.
And look at you using the lingo. You say what color, not flavor. See, that's how we talk. Well, what color? We don't say flavor. Color? Blue, right? Blue, red, or orange. So I would do that, and I would take a shower, get dressed, and then go to the stadium, and I'm ready to rock.
What was one of the most memorable moments in your NFL career?
Probably the moment when it was obvious, and it was no more guess and hope. It was obvious that we were about to go to the Super Bowl. We were playing in the NFC Championship game, which would have been, 2 weeks ago during this season, when we were playing the Eagles at home in St. Louis, and they had Donovan McNabb and a lot of really good offensive players. They had guys that could beat you, and we had a great offense, the greatest show on turf, one of the greatest of all time, and we had a good defense. We were solid, and we played a hell of a game. We were able to keep Donovan McNabb in check. And then at some point, we stopped them on fourth down. They had to turn it over to us. And now our offense is on the field, basically trying to run the clock out. And I look up at the scoreboard, and it was, getting close to like a minute or getting down to the low minute 10, minute 15, and the clock's running.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're up by 2 scores. And I'm like, and I put my hand on my head. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to the Super Bowl. So I turn to the stands and I look at my family. And I didn't cry, but I had this feeling of crying. I don't know, for whatever reason, the tears didn't come. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go to the Super Bowl. This is insane. Like, come on, man, this is crazy. So that feeling, I still get chills when I think about it. Again, you're talking about just beyond your wildest dreams. To play in the NFL, and now I'm about to go to the Super Bowl. This is crazy. It's insane. And so that feeling to know that it's truly going to happen to you, like you never think it's going to happen to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, many players have played in the league, never ever got close to Super Bowl, let alone make it to the ultimate game. So I know the feelings that these guys are having, especially the ones who are going to their first one. They're only 48 hours or a little bit more than 48 hours away. It's an amazing feeling when you know it's coming. And so that for me, probably in a career that I was fortunate enough to have many good moments and many memorable moments, that probably is right at the top.
In football, you only get so many opportunities. So you got to take advantage of every single opportunity you get. You mentioned that feeling, right? What would you compare that feeling to outside of football if you had to compare it to anything else?
Doing a business deal, opening the first IHOP ever in Washington, D.C. That was an amazing feeling. That's something that meant a lot to myself and my family. We had to create a lot of jobs in the area that we're from. That whenever I do a deal, that's that sense of accomplishment, because there's a lot of correlation between playing high-level sports, whether that's football, whether that's women's tennis. It doesn't really matter. That's why I love sports for everybody, because it really teaches you a lot about life that are transferable skills. But there's a lot of competition in business. And to be able to do your homework, which is basically training in football, to be able to study not your opponent, his opponent in football, but in business, study the deal, right? And looking for little sort of details that you can either exploit to your advantage or prevent from hurting you. And that's in terms of reading your contract, reading deals, reading offers, making an offer, learning more about who you're working with, who you're dealing with, so that you can learn what what their likes are and dislikes is like learning your opponent, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So there's a lot of transferable skills, a lot of similar feelings when you accomplish in business what you accomplish in sports. And so, it's something that really I enjoy very much and will continue to do.
For current NFL players who are looking to plan their lives after their career, like what advice do you have to give to them for the
That's a
business?
good question. Great question, because a lot of players, we live in the moment, as we should. We don't have time to really look behind, certainly. And your singular focus is hard to look ahead. So that's a great question, because a lot of players don't plan for the future. We act as if we're going to play forever. And I can assure you, every single player will be a former player. That's what I would always tell players when I come across them. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with your career. You're probably going to be the greatest player of all time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you for sure, without a doubt, is that one day you will be a former player just like me. And so you need to plan for it. The day you get into the league, you need to plan, have a comprehensive plan for the day you leave. And it took me a couple of years to figure that out. Now, you don't know when you'll leave, and I was fortunate enough and worked hard enough to play an extended amount of time. But if you start planning for the day you leave financially and mentally, that transition will be much, much easier. So invest your money. Don't spend it on liabilities, spend it on assets so that you have flexibility. When you leave the game, you will hopefully play a long time and amass a tremendous amount of assets, and then use those assets, leverage them to create the life you want, whether that's through business, whether that is to do absolutely nothing at all, whether that is to transition to something else, broadcasting or whatever. When you create assets or amass assets with the money that you're making, a tremendous amount of money that you're making in the league, it gives you an opportunity to live the life you want to live after you leave the game. And so many of us don't do that. And we just acquire a lot of debt and a lot of liabilities. And unfortunately, there have been a lot of guys who made a tremendous amount of money and lose it all. And I just hate to see it, because at the end of the day, like you said, you don't get too many opportunities to really live your dream, and you better take advantage of it. And all we have at the end is our memories and our money. And if you don't have the money, all you got is the memories, but the memories aren't going to feed the babies and pay the bills, right? So that's a very important lesson. So that was a great question.
So what did you do with your first paycheck you got from the NFL?
Oh, man. Well, for me, it was different. So I started off on the practice squad. So my first paycheck was a good paycheck for someone coming out of college in the real world. But it was a modest paycheck for quote unquote an NFL player, because being on the practice squad, you're not actually on the roster. You're sort of a developmental guy. It's like being in the minors in baseball, but a little bit step up from the minors, right? And so my first paycheck, I want to say I was making like $3,300 a week, which was big for me back then as a college student, making nothing, right? After taxes, I think I was bringing home, like I said, about $3,300 a week. So I didn't really do much with that first paycheck. But I want to say it was about So from September through October, I was just, paying my rent in my little 1-bedroom apartment, saving my little bit of money. And then once Miami claimed me off the practice squad and I moved up to the regular roster, boy, and then I thought I was making $10,000 a week was just amazing to me. I'm like, what is this? And so I bought my first big screen television.
There you go.
For my birthday. Yeah, that was in November, man. I can still see it. You remember the old school that you couldn't hang it because it's like this big whole huge thing on the floor, and it's I had a little apartment, but I had the biggest television. I didn't have to turn on any lights. So like when I turned the TV on, it lit up the whole apartment, right? The TV was probably a third of the size of the apartment, but it was my dream to have one of those things. And you know what? I went out and bought it, but that's the silly mentality of a young player. And of course, I went broke after my first year, and I went broke after my second year. I'm like, wait a minute, this is stupid. I need to start doing something different. And that's when I really learned how to put your money to work and how to start investing and building wealth. And so, I was able to start reading more and learning, and that was the difference. But yes, my first real NFL paycheck, I bought a big old television.
So who do you have for the Super Bowl coming up?
Well, you know who I have, man. I played for the Rams. So there's no question about it who I got. But, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think I'm really happy for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's been so long since they've been to the Super Bowl. I remember as a kid watching the last time they were there. When they lost, I want to say to the, if I'm not mistaken, the Raiders. No, that can't be right. Who they lose to? 49ers. Yeah, they lost to 49ers. Ken Anderson, great quarterback for Cincinnati. Watching those games back then, so I remember that. And this is the first time they're back since. Joe Burrow is going to be one of the great players in this league, in my opinion. I knew that the first time I saw him play as a rookie. I loved him in college, but a lot of times college players don't transfer the same type of skills and production. And when I saw him as a rookie, I knew he was going to be great. And so to see him now fully healthy and take a franchise who are perennial losers or perennial first round busts in the playoffs to take them to the Super Bowl is tremendous. And he has had a lot of help. And I think, Joe Mixon, their running back, is tremendous. I had him on my fantasy squad, so shout out to Joe Mixon. He put up big numbers for me this year. But I think he's going to be the key to the game for Cincinnati. If Cincinnati's to win this game, and I think it will be an upset if they win. I don't even know what the Vegas line is, but in my mind, the Rams are clearly the better team. But if there's a path for Cincinnati to win the game, and it is through Mixon. They're going to have to be balanced. Mixon's going to have to run the football. You can run it against the Rams. Now, last week they did not. And that's why, the 49ers struggled to win the game. Even though they were in position, they couldn't sustain drives when they needed to because they couldn't effectively run the ball. But during the season, you couldn't run the ball against the Rams. And so Cincinnati's got to find a way to run the ball. If they can't run the ball, they have no chance. They have to be able to run it and then be play action, and Burrow's going to have to be amazing. I just think with the Rams defense, their defensive line is going to control the game. Aaron Donald is one of the greatest players to ever play in the NFL. And he is one of the best, probably he's getting to the point where he's one of the 2 or 3 best defensive linemen I've ever seen. And as a defensive lineman, it's amazing to watch. So I know, most fans watch the ball, and they should. It's fun to watch the ball. But check out number 99 for the Rams. He is one of one. This guy's different, and he's going to make a difference in this game. But that defensive line for the Rams in general is really good. They're gonna control the game, I think, and rush the passer and create problems for Burrow. And their offensive for the Rams is explosive. I think Odell Beckham Jr. has a chance to have a huge game. And I think Matthew Stafford, coming from Detroit his whole career, one of my former teams, has proven that he is a top flight quarterback, and he's going to win a Super Bowl this year. And it's going to be fun to watch. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be there. I'm in Vegas right now instead of LA, so close. But they're going to win it on their home field, which, was going to be amazing for me because my former team last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, won it on their home field.
Yeah.
Another one of my former teams, I believe, is going to win it on their home field this year. So it'll be fun to watch.
It's crazy how that worked. Same home field.
And it never has happened before last year.
Never has happened.
And that was 2 years in a row, right?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think, some people don't think that it's a tremendous advantage when you get to the playoffs because all the teams are good, but I disagree. Just because that routine I told you about when I was playing with the Rams, that routine only took place at home, right? So when I went on the away games, we were in a hotel. There was no sauna and steam room to get into and do my thing, and no Pedialyte in the hotel. So that whole routine I couldn't do. So I felt my best always at home. I've had good games on the road, don't get me wrong, but there's a reason why most teams play well at home. There's a comfortability, literally sleeping in your own bed the night before. Some teams sleep in a hotel even at home, but when we were at the Rams at that point, our coach Mike Marsh allowed us to sleep in our bed the night before.
Yeah.
My guess is it may be something similar for the Rams. It'd be interesting to know if they are allowed to go home and sleep in their own bed, or it's because of the Super Bowl they might put them in a hotel. I don't know, but either way, to be able to play in your home stadium, on your home field, in that comfort is going to be a tremendous advantage. I think it was last year for the Bucs, and it's going to be a tremendous advantage for the Rams this year.
We shall see.
We shall. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the gloves? When you played, did you wear those gloves?
Yeah, I did. I did wear gloves. I remember I didn't used to wear gloves when I was in high school. Yeah. I liked not wearing gloves. Anything in high school, I had no thing on my hand. When I first got to college, wore nothing on my hand, and I made the mistake. I'm calling it a mistake, but it worked out fine. But I put on gloves one practice.
Yeah.
I went the entire practice with gloves, maybe one or two, and then I tried to go without them again. I couldn't do it. It was amazing. Like once I put the gloves on and got used to the feel, or not feeling the destruction of your hands, I couldn't go back. It was crazy. I wanted to go back, but I couldn't. And so for the rest of my career, and this happened when I was a freshman, redshirting, wasn't even playing. It was practice. Again, it was a couple practices I went with gloves, and I tried to go without them, and I couldn't do it. So for the rest of my career, that probably was 1989, from 89 through 2006, I never took the gloves off again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, it really made a difference. It saves your skin on your hands, and it allows you to be a lot rougher. I had to learn which gloves I like most. Some have pads, some don't. And I ended up settling on just regular, we call DB pads, defensive back pads, or even receivers. Gloves, where there were no pads in them. Just something to just cover your hands, has a little stickiness on it so you can grab jersey and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, gloves are a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
Most guys wear them for a reason.
Last question of the day.
Yes.
You see a little kid with a football in his hand. What do you want to teach him? What do you want him to know?
Give me an age, hypothetically. What's his age?
12 years old.
12 years old. Okay. I want him to know the value of playing flag football. There's no need to be hitting, kid. I want you to understand that you can learn to play the game playing flag. If you want to be a running back, you can do that playing flag. If you want to be a wide receiver, great, excellent. Flag football is for you. Quarterback, same thing. Even if you're a lineman, you can get taught the fundamentals of playing the position. Playing flag football. Don't tackle, don't hit until you get into high school, preferably sophomore year. That's when you can start to hit, because you only have so many hits in your body, and you certainly have even less in your brain. So don't use them playing a meaningless little pee-wee football that is not going to translate to you being in the NFL. All right, so I played only 2 years of Little League. They stopped me from playing because I got too big for my age. And I had to stop for a long period of time of playing football, and then picked it up again in high school. Had no effect on me. The studies are showing the earlier you start hitting, the more and more damage to your body, to your joints, and most importantly, to your brain. Flag football is the way to go. Play soccer, play flag football, play every other sport, get your endurance, work on your skills.
Soccer.
Yes, exactly. You know a little bit about soccer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then put the pads on when you get older, and you'll have a great long career.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for taking the time of your day to speak with me. And we'll see who wins the Super Bowl this Sunday.
Go Rams. Thanks, Lisa.